It says nonlinear inequalities, next page there. So today what we want to do is we want to learn to deal with inequalities that don't have an x to the first power. We got to get you out of the normal habit. This, again, is the more challenging part. This is where people get problems wrong on the test. This is the part you want to avoid, so we want to be locked in. It is a longer lesson, but there's really no good way to break it up. That's why we have a long lesson today. Time to ask questions, work through the challenges tomorrow. X squared plus 2x is greater than 15. And you are correct that you can do x squared plus 2x minus 15 is greater than 0. And in your mind, you're probably saying, well, let's factor that to x plus 5 times x minus 3 is greater than 0. But here's where you got to stop doing what you would want to do. And what most of you would want to do is say x plus 5 is greater than 0 and x minus 3 is greater than 0. That does not work. It doesn't work. As soon as you see an inequality with an x squared or something that is not to the first power, you have two options. You either need to set up a number line or you need to set up a graph. And the option will be given to you. Okay, you can choose which way you want to do it. I'm going to show you both of them. On my number line, I'm going to plot two numbers. Anybody want to guess what two numbers they are?
Negative 5 and 3.
Negative 5 and positive 3. Thank you very much. And now we test for positives and negatives. Okay? Jackson, can you give me a number to the left of negative 5? Negative 6. If I plug negative 6 into this, watch. Negative 6 plus 5, is that positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. Negative 6 minus 3? Negative. And a negative times a negative is a positive. So any number that you would plug in that way would produce a positive value. Kira, can you give me a number between negative 5 and 3? 2. Awesome. I would choose 0. You chose 2. It's a free country. Do what you want. 2 plus 5 is positive. 2 minus 3 is negative. And a positive times a negative is a?
Negative.
Negative. Awesome. Ledge, give me a number to the right of 3.
4.
4 plus 5 is positive. 4 minus 3 is positive. And a positive times a positive is a positive. I've tested. I've got positive, negative, and positive. Are we wondering where this is positive, or are we wondering where it's negative?
Positive.
How come?
Because the equation is greater.
Yeah, we're wondering where is the expression greater than 0? And to be greater than 0 means that you are positive. So it is positive here, from negative infinity to negative 5, union 3 to infinity. Number line test. That's one of your options for determining your positives and negatives. You could also make a graph. Now, a lot of people hear graph and they don't like the idea of graphing. Graphing is really, really efficient. I'm still going to plot negative 5 and positive 3. I always use the graph when I can. I think it's quicker and easier. What shape does an x squared make?
Isn't it U?
Yeah, we starts with a P, rhymes with parabola. Parabola makes parabola, right? And because it's a positive x squared, it goes up. If it was a negative x squared, it would go upside down. So this is a positive x squared, so it goes like this. And a parabola has times where it's positive and where it's negative. A graph is positive when it's above the x-axis. It's negative when it's below. So right here, because it's above the x-axis, it is positive. Right here, it's below the x-axis, so it is negative. And here it's above the x-axis, so it's positive. So instead of going through and testing the points, which you can totally do, I can sketch the graph and get a quick interpretation. Notice how it matches here. Negative 5, negative 50, negative 5 is positive. And then between negative 5 and 3 is negative. And then from 3 to infinity, it's positive again. So either way, you end up with this as your solution. Okay, either way you end up with that as your solution. What I would like you to do is I'd like you to look at example 4a. Try doing that one on your own. You can choose to do the number line, or you can choose to do the graph. It's up to you. Try to work through letter 4a on your own. Okay, as I do the problem, I factored x plus 4 and x minus 2 is less than 0. I like to plot the number negative 4 and positive 2. This is a positive x squared, so it goes like that. I can see it's positive, negative, and positive. This is the question. A lot of people get to that point. Am I wondering where it's positive or where it's negative?
Negative. Positive.
I'm wondering where it's negative because it says, where is this thing less than 0? So I'm wondering, where is it negative? And it's negative from negative 4 to positive 2.
Oh, that's.
Just out of curiosity, did anybody choose to use the number line method instead of the graph? Okay. About a third of people during the other hour use the number line method. I saw some people erasing. Can you tell me, were you erasing because you wrote the greater than and not the less than?
Yeah.
Do you see now why we choose the? Okay. All right. Letter B is a little bit different. There's a negative in front. I don't like to deal with the negatives. So anybody know what I'm going to do?
Divide the whole thing by.
Yep. Divide through by -1 or multiply through by -1. And when I do that, what do I have to remember to do in the process? Yep, switch the sign. So I have a positive 2x squared, I have a minus 7x, I have a plus 5 is greater than or equal to 0. So now it becomes similar to what we just did. We have to be good at factoring, which we are. Let me see how this factors.
2x minus 5, x minus 1.
Yep, we got a minus 5 and a minus 1. So what values will I plot on my axis?
1, 5.
1 and not 5, but 5 over 2. I know that the original one was a negative 2x squared. That would go upside down. This one's a positive 2x squared after I factored and everything, so it's going to go right side up. Take 10 seconds, tell the person next to you, will our answer be where it's positive or will our answer be where it's negative? Tell the person next to you, go. What do you think? What? Positive is correct. You are looking for where it's greater than or equal to 0. And that happens from negative infinity to 1, because we have an equal sign, we have a bracket, union, 5 halves to infinity.
Yo, I can get this.
Yep. This would have been chapter 5 last year, which would have been your third quarter Algebra 2, okay? So this technically is a little bit of review. It's a little harder, which is why we spend this day on it. This is the part that's new. So this is where we want to lean in a little bit. Rational expressions, okay? Which is why we're going to give you a day tomorrow to work in class and ask questions about it. We're going to break it into these 4 problems, and we're going to start very basic. I don't know what that graph looks like, so now the graph is not an option. We have to make the table or the number line. I'll show you the table in a second. Anybody want to guess what numbers we put on the number line?
2, 4, -3.
Yep, 2, 4, and -3. Anywhere where the top or the bottom makes 0. When I do that, I actually, for me anyways, you might choose to do differently. I like to put the numbers on top of the number line. And you'll see why. I like to organize my work in this situation, and you can do it however you want, but I think the best way to organize my work is to make a chart. The chart has columns and it has rows. The number of columns is 1 more than the numbers you plot up top. So see how I have 3 numbers? That means I'm going to have 4 columns. The number of rows is the same as the number of factors that we have in our problems. We have 1, 2, 3 factors that produce those 3 results. And then I put these factors on the side, x minus 2, x minus 4, and x plus 3. Addie, can you give me a number to the left of -3? Sure, -4 works for, oh, I got double Addie. Oh, I'm sorry. Got to figure that out. Sorry about that. If I plug in -4, -4 minus 2 is negative. -4 minus 4 is negative. And -4 plus 3 is negative. Now we move on. Noah, can you give me a number between -3 and 2?
1.
Awesome. 1 minus 2 is negative. 1 minus 4 is negative. And 1 plus 3 is positive. Kenzie, give me a number between 2 and 4.
3.
3 minus 2 is positive. 3 minus 4 is negative. And 3 plus 3 is positive. And then if we choose a number greater than 4, they all end up being positive. Now, look at what this chart does for us. It helps us quickly determine our positives and our negatives. Because if we were to plug in that -4 in the beginning, we would have had a negative times a negative divided by a negative. And 3 negatives will make a
Positive.
negative. Yep. Everybody agree an odd number of negatives is negative, and an even number of negatives is positive. So this will produce negative. This column here, there's only 2 negatives, so it will produce positive. This column here is 1 negative, so it will produce negative. And this final column will produce positive.
Wait, how do we decide that again?
Look at your column and the number of negatives. If it's an odd number of negatives, it will produce negative.
Okay.
If it's an even number of negatives, it will produce positive.
Or just think of it like this: negative times negative equals positive times another negative equals negative.
Amen, brother. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
United States of America.
Okay. You can see it says less than 0. To be less than 0 means it is negative. So we're wondering where this is negative. It's negative over here, and then it's negative from the 2 to the 4. So our answer is from negative infinity to -3, union 2 to 4. We're gonna set up the chart for the next one together, and then you're gonna try to find the positives and negatives on your own. What numbers give me 0 in the top and bottom?
Positive 5.
5,
Negative 2.
-2,
And positive 10 over 3.
10 over 3. How about this one right here?
Positive 3. Or 0.
0. If you have just an x, it's 0. The -3 is just a constant. Don't worry about it. So those are the 4 numbers that I will plot. If I have 4 numbers up top, how many columns will I have?
5.
5. How many rows? 4. I put the -3x. I put the x minus 5. I put the x plus 2. I put the 3x minus 10. I want you now to see if you can try to come up with the positives and negatives and answer the problem. Go ahead, so you can see this here. I believe in you. You're super smart. Yeah.
Wait. Oh, Chuck is not it. Chuck in here?
No, he's 6 out.
His is so bad. Look, I got a little bit right here. His is way worse than
You guys are tough.
Chuck is one tough guy.
Chuck is tough.
Mason, it's a positive. Right? Because there's -3 times 2. Yeah. But then pick number Mr. Gantz?
Yep.
Would this be -3 times?
Times -3, positive, -3 minus 5 is negative. Plus 2 is negative.
No, he's
3 times negative is -9 minus 10 negative. Zero times -3 is positive.
-1 minus 5.
-2 positive. There you go. Yep.
Question.
Keep going.
So this first one, this was even a -3.
-3 times -3 is positive 9.
So then -3. Minus 75 -8.
Yep. Yep. Minus 10 would be another negative. Yep. You got it.
So we do -1 here.
Yep. Yep. Better? Yep. Keep going. Good job, you guys. Good.
even
Good.
So
No, I have 2 columns, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I'll be done in.
Yeah. So then this would be negative. Or negative. So we have 1 negative. There you go. Good job. Good job. Good job.
put it into so what do you have to go there? So it's greater than having 1 with positive. So 0 for this column, positive, right?
don't know if it's.
It's called positive.
It's negative, so that's
It's called
called
negative.
So you
Stop there and go. This column is positive. This column is negative. So you just box that up, then you got it. Get it? Yes.
If it's a negative,
Okay, so different ways of organizing it. I got a negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. Okay? Are you wondering where it's positive or are you wondering where it's negative?
Positive.
Positive because of that sign. Good. Now here's where you got to be careful. This is the one last thing you've got to learn, and you'll be fine. Notice how we got the equality sign there. Does that mean we use parentheses or brackets? We would use brackets. However, watch as I write this out. Right now you're like, okay, we want to know where it's positive, so we're thinking that we would go, say, there to there, and then we would go there to there. And so you're thinking, I'm going to go -2 to 0, and then I'm going to go union 10/3 to 5. And if that problem was worth 4 points, I'd give you 3.5 at that time. There's just one small mistake, and this is the last thing you kind of have to see. What numbers are we not allowed to plug in that would give us 0 in the denominator? What numbers would give you 0 in the denominator here? What numbers give us 0 in the denominator? -2 and 10/3. Those can't be part of our solution set because they produce 0 in the bottom. So therefore, -2 can't be part of our solution. So therefore, all we do is we take that -2 and we change it to a parenthesis. That 10/3 can't be part of our solution. So we go ahead and we take that off and we turn it to a parenthesis. Okay, hey, right back. No, right here. Don't worry, okay? Ready?
No, I get that.
Oh, you're good.
I get that.
Oh.
But, so I forgot how, after we get the negatives and positives on the bottom, how do we figure out the top part?
How do we, these green spots?
Yeah, I forgot how to
So it says, do you see that because it says greater or equal 0, we want positives?
positive or equal to.
So positives are happening right here between -2 and 0. Positives are happening here between 10/3 and 5.
Got it.
That better?
Yes.
Excellent question. Super, you're ready. 2 problems, and you guys are ready to really work on this assignment. You can work on it tonight. Obviously, you get full time tomorrow. What's different about this one? It's not equal to, and it's not factored. So now we put our full skills together, and in order to make this work, we do want to set it equal to 0, and we do want it factored. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to move that 2 over to the other side. If I'm going to subtract or add fractions, I must have common denominators. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 2x plus 3. Which is why we spent time talking about fractions in our review for last unit, was preparing for this time. What do you now get in the top?
4x plus 3. 4x plus 6.
So I get a 4x here
-6.
minus 4x
Plus 6.
minus 6. Ledger, we're distributing a -2
Okay.
because of the subtraction sign. What is our new denominator?
2x plus 3.
2x plus 3 says greater than or equal to 0. What happens here? The 4x is reduced to 0, and you're left with -6 over 2x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 0. I told you I don't like to use negatives, So I'm going to multiply through by -1. Here's a mistake that people make when they do that. They multiply the top and the bottom by -1. Is that -1? That's +1, is it not? So you multiply through by -1, you just multiply the top or the bottom. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to multiply this top by -1, and I get 6 over 2x plus 3 is less than or equal to 0. I just switch the sign and multiply that negative off. Sweet. Is the top ever equal to 0?
No.
Top is always just what value? It's always 6. It's never 0. Is the bottom equal to 0?
Yeah.
Where?
2x plus 3.
Equals 0, and I get -3/2.
Oh.
Ledger, we love that you're answering questions. Keep it up, dude.
Okay.
All right, I have one number up here, so how many columns do I have?
2.
I have 2. I have 1 row, and I put the 2x plus 3 there. Ben, give me a number to the left of -3/2. Okay, come on with a number to the left of -3/2.
0.
0. That will be to the right. We'll do the right one. 0 plus 3 is positive. Ben, we'll give you another shot. Number to the left. You got it, dude.
-3.
-3. -2, or 2 times -3 is -6. Plus 3 is -3. So good, I get a negative and a positive. So just negative and positive. Am I wondering where it's negative, or am I wondering where it's positive?
Where it's
Negative.
negative.
Yep, we're wondering where it's less equals 0, so we're wondering where it's negative. So we're going that way. So from -infinity to -3/2. Talk to your friend next to you. Is it a bracket or a parenthesis and why? Tell the person next to you, bracket or parenthesis and why?
No, it's because you have it there and you can't have that in your bracket.
Wait, why was it bracket? Why was it bracket?
You can't have this number in your answer. So you can't have.
Zoe, feeling confident?
True.
You look confident right now. You got the glasses on, the arms are crossed. You feeling confident?
It's gotta be
What
a
is
bracket. It's gotta be a bracket.
Why is it a bracket? Because it says equals to.
It has to
And
be.
it doesn't equal 0.
But you can't have 0 in the denominator. 0, -3 is 0 in the denominator.
I don't know. What just happened?
Here, did you get it? You're smiling. All right, last example, good job. Easton, how is the junior powder puff team coming? Do you have coaches?
Are you a coach?
Do you have a playbook yet?
Nope.
You gotta coach
Do the seniors have anything set up yet?
We gotta work on
Yeah, we
this.
do.
it.
Alright.
Yeah,
Gotta
I
work
just
on
want to be a
this.
coach.
We want to put together a good showing.
Group chat.
And rumor has it that some of the seniors might get injured before the game, you know. Who knows? They're having some tough practices. You might see Nevaeh walking on a body cast for all we know.
You guys better be careful.
We can beat you guys with 9 men. 9 women.
All right, I did that problem with you. You guys do the problem with me. What do I do first here? You tell me.
Make it so it's equal to 0.
How?
Or divided by 3x.
Excellent. Subtract the 3x over. Love it. Good. Now what do I do? X plus 1. Way to go, Miss D. LaSalle.
You said
How do
like
you say
Sally or
it?
something.
How do you say it?
It's De La Salle.
D. LaSalle.
De La Salle.
De La Salle.
I thought it was De La Salle.
De LaSalle. I know. I was telling all the teachers. They're like talking about De La Salad or something.
The Islanders go crazy.
All right. What do I get in the top? I've got x. Then what?
Minus 3x minus 1.
Good. Minus 3x squared.
Minus 3.
Minus 3x. All over
X plus 1.
x plus 1, which is less than 0.
How do,
We need.
In the top now, I've got a negative 3x squared. I combine the x and the negative 3x to get a negative 2x.
Can you take out a negative?
Shh. There are two options at this point. I want to know what you want to do. Tell your friend next to you, what would you do at this spot? You got two options, go.
I'm taking out negative one. Give me one.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What did you choose to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
I have no sense.
You could you factor out an x? You could. I like the idea of not factoring out a negative 1, but multiplying through by a negative 1. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
If I multiply the top through by a negative 1, I get 3x squared plus 2x over x plus 1, and then I flip the sign.
Wait, what did we just do?
I multiply the top through by negative 1, and then you have to flip the sign. Our last step before we're ready to make our table, you guys are doing a great job. This is a tough lesson. Way to focus through it. What is my last step I need to do here? I already mentioned it once. Factor out the x, and you get 3x plus dos, which is Spanish for 2, over x plus 1 is greater than 0. So now we just go back to where we started. What numbers produce 0 for us?
X.
0?
0, negative 2/3.
Negative 2/3.
And negative 1.
Negative 1. I put those on my number line. I'm going to start with the smallest number first, or the least number, which is negative 1, and then negative 2/3, and then 0. How many columns?
4.
4. How many rows?
3.
3. So I have x, I have 3x plus 2, and I have x plus 1.
Wait, 4. Why do you mess this up every time?
Big John, give me a number to the left of negative 1.
Negative 2.
Attaboy, negative 2 is negative. 3 times negative 2 is negative, 6 plus 2 is negative, and negative 2 plus 1 is negative. Feel a lot of negativity here.
Yeah.
All right, this is where it's, a lot of times people are like, what fractions between negative 1 and negative 2/3? I don't like to think of the fractions. That confuses me. So I think of this as negative 0.6 repeating. Can somebody think of a decimal that's between negative 1 and negative 0.6?
Negative 0.8.
Sure, negative 0.8, negative 0.9, negative 0.7. These are all options. I'll choose the negative 0.8 as it came over here from Noah. Negative 0.8 is negative. 3 times negative 0.8 is negative 2.4. Plus 2 is negative. And negative 0.8 plus 1 is positive. Evan, can you think of a number between negative 0.6 and 0? Negative 0.5. Negative 0.5 would work. So that would be negative. 3 times negative 0.5 is negative 1.5 plus 2 is positive. And negative 0.5 plus 1 is positive. Jacob, give me a number greater than 0.
1.
All right, we got positive, positive, positive. Look at your roll.
Yes. I get
Killer
it.
job on the show today.
Thank you.
Man, I was inspired.
What?
Are we wondering where it's positive, or are we wondering where it's negative?
Positive.
Positive.
What? Yeah. Wait. Bro.
Because of this right here. Where is it greater than 0? So we're wondering where this is positive. We've got from negative 1 to negative 2/3, union 0 to infinity. Nice job. Way to go. Way to go. That's a lot of time. So again, tomorrow you're gonna have time to work. Open up your homework so I can show you kind of where you want to target.
Explaining that.
Yes. Yes. Yep. My good friend Kenzie. Everybody say hi, Kenzie. Kenzie is a math master. Okay. And right now, okay, that first worksheet, you can finish off that second section, which is, solve the following quadratics using those inequalities. And if you flip it over to the next one, it says nonlinear, and there you can see the fractions. So it's really, as of tomorrow, you're ready to really complete those first two worksheets. So I would encourage you on your ride to De La Salle tonight, get a few problems done. Be ready to ask some questions tomorrow. Question?
So just everything that says unit 1.7?
Yeah, so the first one, again, was at 1.7, and then the second one is another 1.7. Yep, those first two that say 1.7, you already worked through. Again, a worksheet tomorrow because it's challenging. Now,
I have to
if you're confused about the parentheses or brackets, here's your lesson here. Okay, you ready? So, suppose we tested that, okay? And suppose we came up with a solution set. So, as I mark this off, we've got -4, -1, 2, and 5. And suppose that your solution looked like that, okay? So you would say, because you see an equals, you would say, I'm going to do brackets.
But all circles are open.
You're good with me on brackets? However, we also have to recognize that you can't divide by 1. You can never divide by
5 and 1.
0. And what numbers produce 5 and 0? Or what numbers produce 0? 5 and -1. So you see that these two right here,
The end ones.
I've got 5 and -1. Those can't be included in our solution. And so to discard 5 and -1 from our solution, we simply have to get rid of the bracket and switch it to a parenthesis. So this means it wants to be a bracket, but you can never include something that gives you 0 in the denominator.
So basically, if it's on the bottom, it is always going to be a parenthesis.
If it's on the bottom, it's always a parenthesis, yes.
Makes sense.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Excellent question.
Thank you for explaining.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. Good call.
Fighting for par.
Fight for par.
Fighting for par. Right now, sweetie?
Hey, what about Tyreek Hill?
He's pretty good at football.
What is this, like the whole like?
Why was he driving? He's too fast. He even drives too fast.
So
He's a cheetah.
I agree. He drives too fast, and I agree that he should have complied with the police officer.
That was definitely.
However, I'm asking myself, should the police officer have pulled him out of the car?
Right.
Did you see the tape?
Yeah.
It just does seem to me like the police
I
officer
just don't get why
overreacted.
he.
And I will take
Now
the
they
police
touched
officer's
his
side of
window.
things in 99.99%.
Definitely have the under on Kyrie.
He definitely did.
Yeah.
And I'm on the police officer's side in this one. I'm just also saying that if there's a camera there, I guess I probably wouldn't have. You know what I mean? If there's no camera, I'd pull it off. It's almost like Tyreek wanted the officer to ask him for his autograph or something.
Yeah.
Hey, don't you know who I am? I'm the cheetah.
Where's my cool car? Don't touch it.
Are you?
Maybe I'll make my way up to the cities.
Okay.
Maybe.
Good one, guys.
You too, sir. Abby, did you bring your A game today?
Hopefully. Yes, sure.